In November 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT. It reached 1 million users in 5 days, 100 million in 2 months. It became the fastest-growing consumer product in human history. Today, ChatGPT has 500 million weekly users. OpenAI is valued at roughly $800 billion. Sam Altman is one of the most recognized names in technology. By every visible measure, OpenAI is winning the AI race. And yet last year, OpenAI burned $9 billion in operational losses. This year, the projection is $14 billion. By 2029, the company expects to have lost a cumulative $115 billion before it turns a profit. And that assumes everything goes right. Let that sink in. The most used AI product on Earth, 500 million users, $800 billion valuation, and it is burning through money at a pace that has no precedent in the history of business. So how does that happen? How does the most famous company in the AI era end up in a race not just against its competitors, but against its own bank account? The answer starts with a kid in St. Louis who got his first computer at age 8 and never stopped thinking bigger than anyone around him could follow. Sam Altman was born in 1985 in Chicago, grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. His parents gave him his first computer at age 8, an Apple Macintosh. He took it apart to understand how it worked. He enrolled at Stanford to study computer science, dropped out after 1 year, not because he was failing, because he had an idea he couldn't ignore. In 2005, at 19 years old, he co-founded Looped, one of the first location-based social apps. Too early for the market, acquired in 2012 for $43 million. Modest exit, but it got him into Y Combinator. By 2014, at 28 years old, he was running Y Combinator as its president, the most connected position in Silicon Valley for someone his age. In 2015, he co-founded OpenAI alongside Elon Musk and others. The mission: build artificial general intelligence that benefits all of humanity. It started as a non-profit. Altman took no salary and, crucially, no equity. To this day, Sam Altman has no meaningful ownership stake in OpenAI. The company he runs, that he built into a household name, is valued at $800 billion. He built it without owning any of it. That is almost unprecedented for a founder CEO at this scale. Jensen Huang owns NVIDIA. Dario Amodei built equity into Anthropic from day one. Every major tech CEO in history has been financially aligned with the company they run. Altman's explanation was a mission. The non-profit structure served humanity better than a profit-driven one. Personal financial incentives would distort his judgment. Then, in October 2025, under the weight of mounting losses and the need to raise hundreds of billions more, OpenAI did something that tells you everything about the financial pressure it was under. It abandoned its nonprofit structure entirely. The organization was founded explicitly to serve humanity, rather than shareholders that had told early investors to think of their money in the spirit of donations converted into a public benefit corporation. Same structure as Anthropic. Same structure as any company trying to raise conventional capital from conventional investors. The mission didn't change. The money pressure made the old structure impossible. And as part of that restructuring, Altman reportedly received his first equity stake, around 10%, worth roughly $30 billion on paper. For a decade, he built the most valuable AI company on Earth and owned none of it. Then the losses forced the structure to break. And that changed everything, including his relationship to the financial problem at the center of this story. Here is the problem nobody explains clearly enough. Every time you send a message to ChatGPT, it costs OpenAI money to answer it. The compute, the raw processing power required to generate each response is expensive. And the more capable the model, the more expensive each response gets. OpenAI's inference costs the cost of serving user queries quadrupled in a single year in 2025. That collapse in efficiency drove gross margin down from 40% in 2024 to 33% in 2025. Think about what that means. OpenAI grew revenue dramatically, and its margins got worse. The more it grew, the more the unit economics deteriorated. Here's why. With hundreds of millions of weekly users generating billions of queries per day, GPT-5 alone consumes enough energy daily to power over 1 million US households for a year. That is the electricity bill for one product at one company for one day. And that's just the cost of serving existing users. On top of that sits the cost of staying at the frontier, training the next generation of models. In 2025, OpenAI paid Microsoft $10.6 billion just for research and development, most of it the cost of training its models on Microsoft's infrastructure. The company that is supposed to be OpenAI's partner is also its biggest bill. Total inference costs hit $8.4 billion in 2025 and are projected to rise to $14 billion in 2026. Add training, talent, and infrastructure, and you get a company spending roughly $1.70 for every dollar it earns. Cumulative projected losses through 2029, $115 billion, more than 3 times the cost of the entire Manhattan Project. But if you want to understand what that compute pressure actually feels like, not in spreadsheets, but in real decisions, look at what happened with Sora.
It's the most powerful imagination engine ever built.
Sora was OpenAI's video product. Type a sentence of text, get a cinematic video clip back.
1 year ago, Sora 1 redefined what was possible with moving images. Today, we're announcing the Sora app.
The technology that made Hollywood genuinely nervous for the first time. On December 11, 2025, Bob Iger and Sam Altman appeared together on CNBC to announce the most high-profile AI deal Hollywood had ever seen. Disney committed $1 billion investment. Over 200 characters from Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars licensed for Sora. Disney Plus would host the videos. Iger called it his final signature deal as CEO. 3 months later, OpenAI shut Sora down entirely. Disney found out less than an hour before the public. The $1 billion never changed hands. The numbers explain everything. One 10-second Sora video required 40 minutes of GPU processing time across 4 chips. Sora was burning $15 million a day in compute costs. Its entire lifetime revenue, $2.1 million. Sam Altman made the call. Kill Sora. Free the compute. Refocus. The technology worked. The math never did. And when you're already burning billions just to keep the core business alive, you cannot afford $15 million a day for a product that makes almost nothing. But here is the part Sam Altman would want you to understand. OpenAI is not losing money accidentally. It is losing money deliberately pricing its models below the true cost of serving them to capture market share and grow faster than any competitor can follow. It is a calculated bet that the cost of compute falls faster than the losses compound. There are early signs it might be working. OpenAI recently cut inference costs roughly 50% on targeted models through software optimization alone, but the company doesn't turn cash flow positive until 2030 at the earliest. 4 more years of burning billions to stay in a race that keeps getting more expensive. The financial problem is the one making headlines, but underneath it are 3 structural threats that are harder to fix than the balance sheet. The first is talent. OpenAI started the AI era and attracted the best researchers on Earth. Then it started losing them. CTO Mira Murati left. Co-founder Ilya Sutskever left and started a competitor. Andrei Karpathy, one of the most respected AI engineers alive, left twice. Engineers at OpenAI are reportedly 8 times more likely to leave for Anthropic than the reverse. In 2025 alone, OpenAI spent $6 billion in stock compensation, trying to keep people from walking out the door. That is nearly 1/3 of its revenue spent not on building, but on retaining. The second threat is competition from an unexpected direction, not from Anthropic or Google from Microsoft. Microsoft owns roughly 27% of OpenAI, integrated ChatGPT across its entire product suite, and built the infrastructure OpenAI runs on. It was supposed to be the perfect partnership. Except Microsoft is now quietly building its own AI models specifically to reduce its dependence on OpenAI. The partner that funded the race is now running in it. The third threat is the open source problem. Meta is giving away AI models for free. Models that are nearly as good as ChatGPT for most everyday tasks. DeepSeek showed the world you can build a frontier quality model for a fraction of what OpenAI spends. If good enough AI becomes free, and it is trending that way, the question becomes, what exactly are 500 million users paying for, and will they keep paying for it? Sam Altman's answer to all 3 is the same. We are building toward AG, artificial general intelligence, and nobody else is close. The value of what we're building building is so large that the losses today are trivially small by comparison. It is a very large, very expensive, very public bet, and the entire AI industry is watching to see if he's right. Sam Altman once compared OpenAI to the Manhattan Project, the technology that changes everything, the project that redefines what's possible. The comparison is more accurate than he probably intended. Oppenheimer built the most powerful weapon in history.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
And spent the rest of his life uncertain whether he should have. Altman built the most transformative consumer product in history and now has to figure out how to pay for it before the money runs out. Here's what makes OpenAI's situation unlike anything in business history. It's not just a company racing to profitability. It's the company whose survival determines what the next decade of AI looks like. If OpenAI gets the economics right, every AI company gets more room to operate. If it doesn't, if the losses compound faster than the revenue grows, the entire premise of frontier AI as a sustainable business gets called into question. Not just for OpenAI, for everyone. 500 million users built the most important proof of concept in technology history. The question that comes next is harder. Can you build a business around it before the world's most expensive bet runs out of runway? That is the real AI race. Not models, not chips, not market share. Whether the economics of intelligence can actually work.